Welcome to the Work in Progress podcast, where we keep our whip in check. And now, here's Michelle, certified coach and founder of Strive Coaching Studio.
Welcome to the Work in Progress podcast. Today, I have an amazing guest who is so impressive. And even if you are not in the new homes industry, which if you are, you for sure know my guest, but even if you're not, you are about to learn about some things that are interesting and so intelligent and curious and are, I think, world changing. I think what you're doing is so significant to how people purchase and how our consumers and our psychologies are being trained to purchase and live in this new world. And so no matter who you are, you're going to enjoy this podcast today. I'm with John Lee, who is with Anugo. And Anugo is a software company, and you use MarTech and sales tech, and you basically make it easier for new home sales, and you're just revolutionizing what this will look like and how consumers will make their purchases going forward. So welcome, John. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you.
Yeah, I love getting to talk to you here. You know, we've gone back a long ways. We've probably known each other for a decade, and
Yes.
You've been a client, and then obviously now you're being a great coach for some of the people that are just starting their companies or in the midst of it.
Yeah.
And, we've gone through a lot of changes in this new home industry. You know, I started back in 2001 after the .com bust, and that's how I came into this industry. I worked in Silicon Valley, and I was kind of smitten by all the technology. And then I love real estate because I got my real estate license early on in my career, and this area was booming. And I thought, wow, if I can apply that technology to this industry, it would be a game changer. I didn't realize I was probably coming into the most tech laggard industry in the world.
Totally. Oh my gosh.
Right. So we started out as rendering house because I realized that, to sell new homes, you actually had to render these houses so people can have an idea of what their dream home would look like. So we started out just creating that content. And that's what we went with for a long time. But then after the Great Recession, or even during the Great Recession, I started to realize that, all these new technologies were coming out with, everything from iPhones to the cloud, and buyers were, especially the millennials, were starting to change the way they shop. Obviously Amazon was starting to emerge, and then even social media. And so that's why I said back then, I stood up in the middle of the Great Recession to my employees and said, a lot of our competitors are hunkering down or laying off, but actually we're going to change. We're going to become a software company. And everybody looked around and like, who here knows anything about software? But I said, we have to do this because it's going to happen. And so that's when I actually reserved the domain name Anugo. This is back in 2011. And so I've been basically building Anugo. So basically don't buy new homes the old way, make a new go of it. And we finally converted and launched that back in 2020. And so since then, we've been now really focused on software to enable buyers to find, design, experience, and even buy their new homes online.
It's an amazing transition, an amazing transformation and evolution that you've taken. And you study, if you study or are aware of sociology and history, it's the worst times that change who we become, who we are, and what our habits are, and how we look at the world. And you just decided this is our time. We're going to be better on the other side of this.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. Our biggest changes actually happened in the worst times in the economy. I started a brand new company right at the end of the .com bust in 2001. Yeah. And that was also when 9/11 happened and everything. So the economy is really in tough conditions. And then again, in the middle of the Great Recession is when I made this new decision to pivot to software. And now in this housing downturn, we actually are launching our Anugo.com marketplace, which is kind of like the Zillow for new homes, which is going from B2B, which is business to business, to now business to consumer. So why are you launching these things in the worst of times? But for me, it's actually an opportunity. Most of the times you take market share is when there's a downturn, because it's a little bit chaotic. A lot of your competitors are pulling back or hunkering down. But also your clients are probably looking for solutions and opportunities to change. They don't change when things are good. They change when things are tough. And that's caused us to, from a business side, all the way down to personal and career development, to change our skill set, change our passion, change our vision and direction.
Absolutely. You have to reprioritize. You have to reassess what the ground is you have to work within, for sure. And you and I have that in common. Having started Terramore, our building company, in the middle of the recession. We were crazy, according to most.
I worked with you back then. It was like,
I know.
At the same time, you're still doing good. I remember helping with charity. I mean, you were still trying to help the community as well as build your business.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. And I think when you have those opportunities during those times, you have, especially starting brand new, you don't bring in the old ways of doing things, or you're willing to say the old ways can go out. How can we rethink this? What can we do differently? And for me, then it was, who do I need to partner with? Who are the people who are going to change the game?
Right.
And how can I be on the forefront of this? And that was the goal. And obviously that's how you think too. You're a very forward thinking company. And what I love so much about what you do, and listening to your podcast definitely reflects it, is how you are so in touch with the psychology of humans and human nature, and how we think and how our emotions are such strong drivers for us. And that's such a big part of how you think about your business. It's not just about tech, it's about humans.
Exactly. A lot of people have thought of me in this industry as a tech guy, and I'm so far out there, and maybe too far out there. But I think it really is that that human touch that not only is programming the algorithms, but the human is mastering the technology, and it's a tool for humans. And as much as I have my own little saying here that to soar, you need to be grounded. And what I mean by that is, as we continue to grow, I use the analogy of flying a kite. My natural tendency is to be the kite. I want to fly. I just want the wind to take me, and anything to get me aloft. But one of the things as I learned as I gotten older is I need to stay grounded, and that's from my youth, whether it's my coach, my teacher, my parents, and, my pastor, they keep me grounded in the values, the principles, what is the bigger cause, not just for your success, but for, the people around you. And that combination of that human influence, but at the same time, your personal passion, it is what drives me. And as I get older now, and instead of becoming the mentee and now I'm the mentor, I'm the one that's probably holding the strings here and trying to find the right ways to let my mentees be able to soar to their heights, and but keep them grounded.
So great. And what an amazing position to be in.
Right. It's a full circle. I think of my career and just my personal development, and I've shared this with you, is I have my own little guiding principle, my business cycle and personal cycle. I yearn to learn, I learn to earn so I can make money and survive and provide for my family. But I also earn to return to those who yearn. And what really pleases me, excites me, whether it's my employees or people just trying to get a start in their lives, is to be able to help people that are yearning for some goal and their ambitions, and to be able to use our wisdom and our experience, and maybe even our means, to help support that, so they don't stumble.
Totally. And I don't know if you coined that phrase, but I'm definitely going to be a subscriber to it, because that is really fantastic and I love it. And it's a way I've certainly lived my life too, and many others have in our industry, very fortunately. You bring up your background and your upbringing and a lot of your values and priorities in your life. Tell us about you ended up in Silicon Valley out of all of this. So tell us about your journey.
Yeah. Back in the days, I graduated back in the 80s, and, I worked for a Fortune 100 company. And, back then it was a traditional business. And then all of a sudden there was this hot new thing, Silicon Valley. And I was just attracted to a totally different way of thinking. And when I went out there, it was happening at warp speed. And it's like I came down from the mountain there, and I just saw so many opportunities to apply that to improve not just businesses, but improve people's lives. And we've all been a recipient. A lot of people say, well, I'm not a tech person, but actually people are using tech all the time. When tech has succeeded, when you don't think you're using tech. It's just part of your life now.
You don't even know. You're not even aware
you don't
of
even
it.
know, but
So
you'll know
true.
when you're unplugged. And all of a sudden, it's like,
Yes.
wait a minute, how do I find this place today? How
My
do I make a
life is
reservation?
over.
Yes, I don't know where to go today. I'm lost.
Right. How will I get my groceries?
Right, exactly. So we become very dependent upon it, and that's good that we are able to master that. And we can, and you know, especially the next generations like the millennials and Gen Zs. I mean, they basically grew up using that, and that's why, from our industry standpoint, we need to meet our consumers where they're at. But you know, it actually wasn't all fun and games and easy for me. You know, actually going back to my childhood, I would say my biggest success, it was also my biggest failure. And, you know, I was part of an immigrant family. My parents came over here and they were very successful in Taiwan. They're valedictorians of their high school. And my dad came here, went to UNC and Chapel Hill and got his master's degree and everything. But they struggled a lot because they couldn't speak English. And, you know, and back then there was a little bit of discrimination around here. So they actually had to go start a business, Lee's Tailor Shop. So they were just doing tailoring and dry cleaning. And so they always worked hard for me to go to college. I went to UNC Chapel Hill too, and in the Taiwanese community, you didn't really make it until you were a doctor. So I felt a lot of pressure to become a doctor. And in high school, I took anatomy and physiology. I placed out of entry-level biology and stuff in college, and I thought I was a role model there. But actually, when I got to college, I started taking some social science classes, and I was exposed to business, and I really started to fall in love with that. And when I decided to switch from med school, pre-med, to business, I really felt like I let down my whole community and as a role model. And but you know, because they're saying, you know, wow, why aren't you doing medicine? That means that why would you go back and do business when that's what your parents are trying to get you out of? And you know, medicine is such a respectable thing. You're saving lives. And then as I started thinking about that, I said, you know, with business, maybe I'm not saving lives, but I'm creating livelihoods. And, you know, it really plays to my desire of being an entrepreneur and risk taking and not just a conservative practice. But back then I was actually called a black sheep. My best friend there told me that, well, his dad was a doctor and his grandfather was a doctor, and they said, you know, don't hang around John. He's like the black sheep of this community because he's going to something that's below us. So anyways, that was a struggle to overcome that. And to me, when I measure failure and success, I think of success as overcoming your fears and adversities, and failure is not being able to. And I think, you know, that was my greatest success. I overcame some of those peer pressure and expectations of me to do what I wanted to do.
Such a great story. We want to belong. We have a human nature to want to belong to our tribe, certainly to our family, and have them be proud of us. And to go against the grain of that and then continue that fight as it continued and probably only got worse. That is really such a testament for you following what you knew was right for you. And what a testament to your family and your parents for being such role models and examples to you. It's a beautiful thing.
And the silver line to the whole story is my friend who's a nephrologist now, better not call him out because he may be listening, but his son went to Duke and he decided not to be a doctor. And he actually was an intern for me in my company last year. And now he's going to be working for a major business consultancy. So he actually, because I kind of paved the way to say, hey, this career path is not something to be looked down on. If that's your passion, you should follow it.
Absolutely. 100%. Well, and you know, there's many objectives with my podcast, but one of them is I want to know about the companies, and we can certainly learn all about them, and I want to, but what's even more valuable to me is knowing the human behind the company who is creating it and what their path has been of success and failure that turned into success. Right. So 10 years ago, would you have ever imagined you'd be here? I
was actually in a lot of doubt back there during the Great Recession. I mean, you know, we all knew how much of a struggle it was. I knew I had to change. And if I didn't change, I don't think I would have been here. and also my company. It's not just for my career path, it's for the livelihoods of everyone around me. So that puts a lot of pressure on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a time there I didn't think I would make it.
Yeah. And what kept you going?
Well, it was a lot of confidence in my employees. I don't think I would have got here without it. But one of the things that I learned in becoming a software company is to succeed there, I had to bring. I have a diversity of people here. I have software developers, which are very analytical, left brain people, and I have graphic artists and marketing people that are very creative, right brain side. I knew there would be great power, just like nuclear fusion, if you can bring the right brain and the left brain together, the analytical side with the creative side. And I think that's one of the competitive advantages that we have. Now, that takes a lot of effort from the leadership to bring two sides together. It's like bringing the Republicans and the Democrats together in a sense and having to sit down.
Yeah.
And I realized that one of the ways to do that is instead of me being the mediator, letting me bring them closer together so they're sitting next to each other. It's kind of like a seesaw. If you have them sitting very far away, when one goes down, the other one goes way up, and when one goes down, the other one goes way up. But if you bring them closer together and you're the fulcrum in the middle, not only do they see eye to eye, not only can they can speak to each other better, but when they go up and down, they don't really throw the other one, off kilter. And allowing them to actually understand each other and facilitate that conversation is really what got us to the next level from a human development standpoint.
Amazing to recognize that, because at the end of the day, we really all have the same, you certainly have the same objective in mind, and we all overlap so much in what we believe and like, and we have so much more in common than we realize.
Right. That diversity of opinions and skill sets is really what makes us work. And I don't know if there's a secret recipe of how you do that. But you have to I find that you have to find some role models there. You have to kind of show by example, like, okay, you guys were able to accomplish this project together. And then they feel like, hey, this thing could actually work. It doesn't have to be me against them. And together we can actually achieve some great things that nobody else can do.
Yeah. And a willingness. You had a team that became willing. You inspired them to be willing, most likely, but they had to be willing. They had to choose that.
Exactly. And part of what I think my personal attribute is I have a lot of passion. And there's actually 3 words in the word passion: pass I on. And so if I can make that passion contagious and they can now carry it when I'm outside the conversation and carry that on, it's contagious. Everybody wants to be part of that. Yes. As opposed to be apart from it.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And so give everyone an idea of what you have now created in terms of the size of your company, the reach of your company. I mean, you are huge.
When we started, it's just a couple of us. And one of the tough things was I didn't know anything about renderings or art, and I actually had to go in there and dive into. So it's not just like you just come in here and just start a company. You actually have to, it's like a springboard. You have to go down before you bounce up. And so I had to go down from my corporate Fortune 100 company on the 38th floor to sitting in my garage, and actually we didn't even have all the equipment. I actually had to work in our clients' offices at night when they're not there. So we really sacrificed, but we really got to be close with our clients. But now we have about 60 employees around the world, and Amazing. They do a variety of different functions. Thank goodness to Zoom. But yeah, it's been a great endeavor.
Yeah. And in terms of your service, you have clients all over the country,
all
world.
Over North America.
North America.
Yeah, I think to date, we probably have over 3,000 clients.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah.
I mean, software, obviously allows us to scale, and we're now reaching a broader type of audience. It used to be just the smaller builders when you're working with Terramore Homes, but now we're working with Terramore Homes acquirer, D.R. Horton. So we're working the full range from small custom builders to large builders, and they all they all have different needs and goals. And to be able to accommodate that with a universal platform has been a major achievement. And now for us to be able to go from that B2B part to B2C to consumers, it's going to require a different set of skill sets, because now we are trying to reach the consumers about why they should buy new, and through social media and meet them where they are.
Yeah, that's a huge shift for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Tell me along the way, you've had so many experiences, and you've been in a lot of different circumstances and businesses and different circles, I guess I should say. Who have been your biggest mentors or role models along the way?
There's a lot of people on the business side, everything from Bezos to Jobs and all that. But I mean, I can get into a whole long conversation about business, but on a day-to-day level, originally it was my parents, because, they were, they sacrificed so much of their education, their reputation, to really roll up their sleeves and to do a humbling business to that prospered. But on a day-to-day level, it's really my three partners. I've seen how much they have sacrificed to help me in my passion. I mean, I still have the same group as when I started. One of them actually came from a social work background in the inner city of Pittsburgh, and he helped a lot of foster kids there that were neglected. And so, that's still a big part of his life. Another one of my partners, he has 3 kids, and he still went out and adopted 3 more kids.
Wow.
And one of them was left out on the streets in China. Another one was a teenage foster boy that was unwanted by his parents and was passed around, and was really kind of a troublemaker in a sense. But those 2 are actually working for our company, and are doing very successful. And then the third partner, he actually, wanted to serve as a missionary. And so he went to a Muslim country there, and in working remotely with us for 3-4 years remotely, was able to, reach out and help other people get jobs and build skills. So they've actually used our platform to reach out to their personal goals and passions. And that's part of the overarching goal of our company, is not just to build a livelihood for us, but to build lives for others. And the reason we're able to do that, which is interesting, because my background, I have an MBA in finance. And when I was in Silicon Valley, I helped raise $9 million, and I had venture capitalists come in. And of course, when they're running the show, it's all about the bottom line. Right now, we don't have any outside investors. So we run it the way we want to run it. And so, our goals are not only about the bottom line. It's how we can serve others.
Absolutely. So tell me about, what is the culture like within Anugo and your 60 people?
It's very fun. We have a diversity of backgrounds. I feel like sometimes we're like the misfits here. It's like you can't go anywhere else. You go to Anugo. We're a new go-to destination. But I have people that have aerospace engineering degrees, MBAs, chemistry degrees, and I have some people that are homeschool, and I won't say they didn't succeed in other places, but we gave them the place here to grow. We had some people even from our Wake Tech Community College that they have skills, but they had some, I would say, mental limitations, capacities, and we were able to work with them, and we provide a lot of internships in the summer.
Wow,
and
amazing.
A lot of these people, you'd be amazed if you find the right position for them in the right things they're interested in that matches their skill set. They are a positive contributor. I mean, they're a contributor to our success. It isn't all the ones with the PhDs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Of course. Everybody's got their superpower to bring and has a role to fill that is very important in the world, for sure, in the company. And yes, just bringing what you do best is contributing to the whole. To the
Exactly. Every piece, and it's not always a perfect fit, but you have to be able to work with them. And if you care about them, then they usually reciprocate. So
yeah, everybody just wants to be valued for what they do bring. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So building the relationships, it sounds like has been a key factor for you.
Yes, I think one thing for me, and I've been in this for a long time, I look at it as a long-term play than a short-term return. And so some of these things, I don't see the fruits of my labor till many years later. I mean, as now I'm an empty nester. Instead of taking care of my kids, I actually taking care of my garden a lot. So I actually have a garden there, and I call it my garden of Eden. So hopefully, if it bears fruits, I can eat from it. But but actually, that's a great place for me to actually learn how to even kind of manage my team, because there's certain crops that has certain seasons, certain things you have to care for a little bit more, water a little bit more, weed a little bit more, and there's a lot of patience. And sometimes I learned that it's not that one season, it's the second or third season that I really start to see the fruits of that labor. So but it's hard work, because you get dirty, you get frustrated. But that's been a great lesson for me, because, I mean, just back to my Christian roots there, everything from the Garden of Eden being that place where you have knowledge, and also, the Garden of Gethsemane, with, where we are learning from, we're gaining wisdom in those places. I don't want to turn this into like
very philosophical. No, I love it. I
Yes.
love it. I use the garden. I have a garden right there. I can see it out my window, which makes me happy. My nest is also empty, but I've always loved the garden analogy. I think it's so appropriate to life and building the life that we have.
And even for business, you reap what you sow. So
100%.
if I sow the wrong things, don't expect to profit well. I feel like that's where I'm back to my kite analogy. Every time I soar, I go back to my grounding. And I have a monthly meeting with my men's group, and that they keep me grounded, because they come back and says, okay, that's great, you have all the success, remember where it came from, remember how you got there, remember what you're supposed to do with it. And that piece, because I'm the CEO, I don't usually hear that kind of stuff, because I don't have a boss, but I do have accountability.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes we're our own worst boss.
Right.
So
yeah, because if I don't have a boss, I have unlimited ambition.
Yeah.
So it's good that I have some other accountabilities and other responsibilities. And that's why it's good to have a mentor. Sometimes our coach, what do you really want to achieve in life, and what are you sacrificing to achieve those things? And do you have the right balance? It's that calibration.
100%. Yeah, totally. It's funny you said that, it's not just about the bottom line, but I say to your point, you just made the point that the bottom line isn't something you maybe measure on an annual basis on your finances. But I would argue it can be measured both internally, spiritually, all of those ways on a fulfillment level from a reward standpoint. But I am a firm believer you will see that in your bottom line. It's just not necessarily this year's bottom line.
Exactly. Like I've learned, I planted asparagus, and I went out there, I thought, okay, this year I'm going to harvest it. And then I find out, wait, you got to wait 2 years to harvest it. So now I got to take care of this little baby a little bit longer. but it's going to be worth it. I can't wait for a year or two.
It's going to be worth it. Yeah. You have to look at the long-term play, like you said. Yeah, 100%. So tell me more about not just so much your culture, but what is the long-term play for you? Where are you going? What are you hoping to build?
Well, I really want to build something that's sustainable, something that's actually meaningful for people's careers, but also for this industry. I do have a long-term love affair with this new construction industry. I feel like there's so many opportunities for change and improvement for both for the home buyer and for even the builders to become more profitable. So I do want to continue to build what we have. Now, there may be a time here, purely from a financial needs, that we may have to bring other investors in and partnerships. So that's probably one of the things that in the next couple of years that we're going to be looking toward is find the right partners that have the similar passion, vision, and maybe even resources to continue to the next level. I can only get it started. I don't think I'm going to finish it. I don't want to say too much here because I don't want to scare my employees if they're listening, but there may be a part here where I need to develop a transition team, and they need to, I want to leave them not just knowledgeable in what we do, but also having the same vision and goals.
Yeah.
I didn't build this for it to go detour somewhere else.
Yeah, well, you're being very responsible to your company right now and to
Right.
the people who are a part of it and those who are invested in it
Hmm.
and the clients who are depending on it. So I'm a firm believer our company is its own standalone individual and entity that needs all of that. And so this strategic planning and anything you're doing is in service of that.
There may be a time that I may have to sell or be open to selling. I mean, you went through that
Yeah.
experience yourself. I mean, when did you know was the right time to let go?
Yeah, it's a great question because there are so many factors and facets involved with that. There's the emotions of it, of course. There's the finances involved, of course. And as a small business, it is really tough for a family to
Hmm.
continue to put that risk out there.
Right.
So for us, that's where it got, and it's a competitive market in the building side. I don't know how competitive is for you and for what you offer, but what you do is amazing and so leading. And I can't imagine there are a lot of competitors, but I can imagine there's a lot of people who want to see it be very successful and be a part of that.
Yeah, that's probably a good representation of where we're at. I feel like our competition, as we get more and more in technology, is less and less competition. And I do see that there's a big desire there. I just want to make sure that what I'm building, I can actually deliver. And that's where we may have to bring some other resources in to do that.
Yeah. But through these changes, the best things are usually come out on the other side. And that's, to me, growth and evolution never feels great when it's happening. I mean, going back to the Great Recession, it didn't feel good.
It didn't feel good, but it was a good life lesson. And it was a good, it required us to pivot. When I first started out as a cost accountant after I graduated, which I felt like is so low, your whole podcast about work in process. As a cost accountant, I worked in this big glass factory, and my whole job there was to keep track of work in process. I'm like, man, I'm so smart. I have all these other skills, and I have to just do that. And they said, actually, it's a very critical piece because we have this raw material of all the silica and soda ash and everything. It goes into this furnace, and that furnace has to continue to stay on because if it doesn't have a place to flow out, it's going to get clogged up in this molten pit. And if we shut it off, it becomes a big glass block. So that work in process has to keep moving, has to be continuously, we cannot stagnate. Just like anything else in life, anything that stagnates becomes rotten. And we have to keep improving it. So, but to make work in process become valuable, you actually have to convert it into a finished good. And because that's where the market value, that's where you really attain what it is. And so my whole job was to find ways to improve that work in process so it's more efficient. And there's two main factors that I had to look at every day. It was speed and yield. Speed is how the throughput. You want to get as much through there as you can so you can keep the furnace flowing and selling products out the door. But the yield part is how much did you yield out of that? How many glasses broke? How many, so you want to keep that as high as you can. And the balance for me all the time in my company is balancing that speed. Like as a startup, I want to hurry up and get a minimum viable product. I have a certain amount of cash. I want to get it out the door so we can start selling stuff. But then you also want to make sure that your quality is good. And that involves two things, product engineering to create that product and process engineering to improve the quality of it and the efficiency of it and all that. And I think, it's very similar going back to the human side of it.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of times where people want to hurry up and improve. I want to improve myself, but I need to get done in the next couple of years. And I'm saying, if you try to do that in speed, but you don't actually have a quality, change in your life, you actually improved your skills and all that, you're actually going to fumble later on.
Speaking my language, John.
And then sometimes on the yield side, you so focus on your quality that you're trying to be Miss Perfect that you never get there. And so you actually didn't have any speed. So it's finding that right balance. And I think having a coach there really guides you on, because every individual is different. Every goal is different. Some things are achievable in 3 months. Some things take 3 years. What is the map to balance that speed and that yield so that you're a quality person?
Yes. And, going back to where we started, we all are getting used to getting what we want so quickly.
Right.
Everything's easier. Everything's available to us so easily now. And now we've gotten used to it. And if we don't have it, we feel like we're missing out on something. So why shouldn't I have this tomorrow or in 3 months or in next year? Because that's not where necessarily the stuff you work for, the stuff you really need to put your energy and your commitment into, that's the good stuff.
Right. I think, yeah, in this day and age, particularly for young people, they've been conditioned to not get in condition. And so they're expecting that instant Instagram. And I see this, I get this, and I move on. And I think we need to kind of, I want to say stop and smell the roses, but, first enjoy the path.
Yes.
But then improve the path for not just you, but for others behind you. I think when we start to think in a broader sense, if it's not just yourself, but it's others, you actually will now spend the time to pave the path for, because I know I'm not doing it just for myself. I'm not just doing it for my family. I'm doing for others that will continue to carry that torch and the baton toward the similar passion.
100%. When you are going through the process to evolve yourself, you're automatically evolving the whole species, the whole industry, the whole group. And so there's such power in that. We all individually have so much power in being able to do it, but you first have to acknowledge that going through that path and that journey is the important piece to getting that.
Yes, I see it as a evolution to a revolution. And so, sometimes you don't realize, but 3 years later, it's like, wow, I look back and I actually achieved a lot. And actually in our name, A New Go, there's actually 2 words in there. There's new and there's a go. And so I'm not saying just throw everything away from the past. There's a lot of things you can learn from a go. The principles should still be the same. Your mission should still be the same, but you may take a new approach to get there because, some things that you thought about 3 years ago weren't available 3 years ago.
Right.
I mean, are now available now. And so you should take advantage of those things to help achieve those goals.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. Absolutely. Tell me, I feel like this is a good time for this question. What do you most want to be known for?
Wow. Without being too egotistical, I do want to, I guess I want to be known as I'm innovative, but I'm also continuously improving. Yeah. Innovation doesn't stop. It's just a cycle. It just continues. And, it's actually addictive. And I also want to be known as an entrepreneur that really he loves what he does. And he actually wants to take that to make a positive impact on the industry, his company, and the community.
Absolutely. Well, you're already very well known. So that's the good news. And once we are, it's kind of like, well, what do I want to be seen? What is the example I want to set? Who is the role model I want to be? And I think that's you're already living into that. And this is why I love this podcast, because I get to show other people who maybe haven't seen the same level of successes that you have seen. And they see you as very successful and having achieved a lot, which you have, but that it's not been easy and you've had your struggles.
It hasn't been easy. And it all started, one of the books I read, there's a book by Peter Thiel. I think he was part of PayPal, whatever. But it was 0 to 1. I mean, and it's using the digits of 0 and 1. But there was a time where I was really 0. And then to get to that 1, and now it opens up a whole bunch of opportunities. And I think a lot of people, they just need to be able to cross that threshold.
Yeah.
And some people need to be carried into that, and some people just need to be led into that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and as a mentor in this industry, and probably for more than just this industry, what are the messages that you want to, I guess, share with them about that process?
Well, I think, first of all, going back to my analogy of the kite flying, try to understand whether you're the kite or you're the one flying the kite. And that will establish whether you're the mentee or the mentor. And I think throughout your whole life, you're going to be in both those roles.
Yeah.
It could just be for a particular job. It could be for a whole industry. It could be for just, just your social groups or whatever. Then I actually have read this other book, and it's kind of related to business. It's called Matchmaker, and it's related to our business of, it's called multi-sided platforms. I don't want to get into all the things, but it's like Uber and OpenTable or Airbnb is matching buyers with sellers. And what we're doing with houses, we're trying to match the right buyer to the right community, the right plan, right options. And so it's a big matching game. But I think in life, we need to not just be on our own. Because I just feel like if you're on your own, I call that impaired. You're under the influence of things around you. Whereas I think you should be pairing up. If you're a mentee, find a mentor. If you're a mentor, find a mentee to help. And then when you pair up, I think you can actually help each other out and guide each other along. So that's why I would try to recommend it at a broader level is find that role model, find that, whether it's a coach, a pastor, a teacher, or your parent or friend that you respect and that you want to be like, and then seek them out, pair up, and then the other way around, and also hold you accountable.
100%. And to your point earlier, it's okay if they don't think the same way you do, or do things the same way you do, or even have the same interests or philosophies as you do, because that's actually what can help broaden you and bring you a little bit more.
Yeah, yes. Because otherwise we all live in this goldfish bowl and you think that's all there is. And that's one of the advantages of me coming from outside into this industry. I was never part of a sandbox. I didn't know that was business as usual or how you had to do business. I just thought, why not? Why wouldn't you? Why should you?
Why is there a rule about this? Who made up these rules anyway?
Yeah, exactly. I think you start the question with why, and then once you figure out the why, then you go to the how. How do I now do this? Because we've answered the why.
Yes. Asking great questions is going to give us such higher quality answers and send us in directions to actually problem solve and take us in new directions. So I love that. So how can somebody, I know Anugo, you have your podcast, which anybody can find your podcast. That is called A New Go of New Home Sales, right?
Yeah, make a new go of new home sales. Yep.
A New Go of New Home Sales. They can find you on anewgosell.com. How else could is there another way somebody could find you or follow you?
Yeah, follow me on LinkedIn. I'm usually posting different commentaries, blogs, sometimes some videos on there. So you learn a little bit about our product, you learn a little bit about me, you learn a little bit about the industry. I think education is a great thing. I have an acronym ETC, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. First, education, and then the T is training, because once you're educated, then you can train how to use that tool. But then the last C is consulting, and consulting is very specific, for your particular needs. Now that you've been educated on that and you've been trained on those skills, how do you apply that to achieve your goals? So if we can just take that, et cetera, to whatever your goal achievements are, I think we all become better in our careers. It's not just business development, it's career development.
Career development and personal development, really.
Right. Personal development leads to career development, which actually leads to business development. Because I think my great business is not based on just a great idea. It's that these people have invested in their skills to make them a player in our game.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are all, as we've been talking about, we are all a work in progress, right? We have been all our lives and we still are. Tell me how you are today. What is your big
I'm still in the game. I still love it. I probably can't be on the field as much as I used to, but I guess I've turned more into a mentor and a coach. I'm trying to find the right players to, it's funny. I started out in a big company as a specialist in a particular field, finance.
Okay.
Then I became more of a generalist as a startup because I had to wear many hats, and you get your hands on everything, but you're not really good at it. But it was all about speed. It wasn't about quality, just to get some done. But now, as I've gotten a great staff of skilled, seasoned people, I'm now not just a generalist. I'm a 4-star general. I'm not on the battlefield, but I'm actually, leading my lieutenants into their particular missions and help them develop. So my role has changed, and eventually we'll find the
whatever the next.
I won't say the replacement for me, but eventually somebody's going to take the baton.
Yeah, that's the next level for you. Yeah, that's amazing. And it's a next level, hopefully for the company too, opening new possibilities for you.
Right. Because I can take the company so far. I mean, there's a concept in business called the Peter principle, and you understand the term, but at some point people will peter out in their capabilities or skill sets or a certain stage. And so when I recognize that I'm not creating the best value for my company or in that particular role, I need to be willing to step away from it.
Well, I think it's too about really recognizing your superpower. I mean, back to that, like everybody brings what their strong superpower skill is to each of the positions,
Right.
or to the company to serve the company best. And as you grow, you have to stay more and more focused on the piece that you bring and that you do
Exactly.
so well, and be willing to let other people who have that or even better one than you, let them do what they do so well in order to serve the business.
Right. I think we have to, there's a part of self-reflection as you get older, you know, what can you do? What should you do? What you should not do. And as I get older and I see different opportunities and obstacles arise, it's actually humbling to see that there are probably things that you can't do, but that's where wisdom and when I was young, it's all about risk taking. I could do anything. Now it's about practicality, and it's enlightening. It's humbling.
Well, and as we get older, I just think also we decide there's things we don't want to do.
Right, exactly. And if you can pay someone else to do it and they can do it better, hallelujah.
And they love it. And they love it.
Yes, exactly. So it's finding that right balance. I feel like I'm happy where I am, but I also feel like I'm in a state of transition because the company's in a state of transition.
Yeah. Good for you to recognize it. So many leaders are resistant to that. And it does take, if the business is evolving, the leaders need to evolve.
Right.
And either you can recognize the ways you need to evolve, or you need to recognize what the business needs in order to evolve from its people and see where you fit in. And most people are not willing to look at it that way, which is why things stagnate.
Yes, and not a lot of people are willing to look in that mirror, or they don't even know to look at that mirror. That's why I think it's good to have a mentor or a coach that says, hey, look, you are actually a little out of shape. You could stand to lose a little bit of weight there. You could stand to go on a diet or whatever. And, sometimes we don't see it ourselves.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's always good, like you said, a mentor who's willing to give you the honest feedback from a place of just, I care about you and I care about your interests and what you say you want.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And having that person, somebody you can really trust and be accountable like that. It's hard to find, but when you find it, you don't want to give it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I always heard a saying that if you are a business advisor or a consultant or a business coach, that you're doing well if they're telling you how much they hate you.
Yes, probably right. Exactly.
And you're right. I liken that to the personal trainer at the gym. Like, I hate them.
I hate them. They're making me sweat. They're making me work. I feel so much pain, but thank you.
Exactly. Yes. Well, this has been delightful. As we head into the holiday season, what do you have to look forward to? I'm asking this of everybody lately in my group. What is your favorite holiday tradition that you have to look forward to?
I'm so busy with work all the time. It's so nice to actually check out and have just my family come together. Now the empty nester, bringing everybody back and see where they are in their lives. Maybe it's a little bit personal, but as I get older here, I'm actually sounds so bad, but I'm actually more focused about my kids' life than when they were actually in my house, because now that they're living their own lives, I really want to see what they're up to and how they're changing and growing. So I'm looking forward to.
They're becoming people. They're
becoming people. Yes. When they're under me, it's kind of like, well, do this, do that, and don't do this, don't do that. But now I say, what are you up to? And how you kind of want to see, did they become what you invested in them? Maybe that's my gardening side of it for my 3 kids.
All that fertilizer that I was doing.
All that crap you had to deal with. Did it actually amount to something? And so far, so good. And that's what makes me happy at the end of the day, so.
I love it. And you know what? At the end of the day, that is really what usually makes most of us happy. And it's our why for what has driven us this far. And hopefully we have all been an example to our children to inspire them, just like your parents were for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I appreciate everything that you are doing for the industry. It is remarkable, and I would for sure encourage everybody to listen to at least the latest In Search Of podcast is the one that I just listened to, because it, to me, talks about how really life is going to change for consumers going forward. It might start with new home sales if it hasn't already started in another industry, which I'm guessing it may have. And it's just going to explode from here and be extremely revolutionary. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Yes, stay tuned. It's going to be a wild couple of years coming up because there's a lot of new technologies, a lot of new opportunities. I think we can bring the product in front of the consumers who really will shape how builders market and sell. It's going to be game changing. I don't know how to really explain now. You just got to listen to the podcast and you'll understand it better.
Yeah, the podcast explains it. It's not hard to understand. It's very clear. I love that it's in down to earth language, which is perfect for me and hopefully for others. But I'll be cheering that on because I think I'm so impressed by it and impressed with you and everything that you've created. And I'll be watching you and your team as you continue. So
I appreciate it. Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to you. I think you're an inspiration to this industry and to the people that you mentor.
Well, thanks, John. I appreciate you coming on, and everybody go check out Anugo.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, John.
For more ways to keep your work in progress in check, visit striveleadershipdevelopment.com.